Hi, I'm Dr. Virginia LeBlanc, also known as Doc V, the Pivot Maestro. Welcome to the Define Your Path podcast show for those seeking to define their own path into purposed entrepreneurship. This is a show about transforming perspectives, as well as inspiring and motivating you to think without a box by exposing you to global thought leaders, change agents, and legacy builders across industries on how they successfully define their path in life and business to profitability and sustainable wins. At Defining Paths, we operate in true transparency and love to help you navigate the waters of your life and put you back in business. And the Define Your Path podcast is no different. It all starts in the mind, folks, in the mind. Will you be the captain or the crew? Today's spotlight, I'm super excited for you all to meet this woman who already I'm just feeling like she is a sister from another mister. Today's spotlight is with Nikki Frias. Nikki is a writer. Let me tell you a little bit about her before we bring her to the spotlight. Nikki is a writer. She's a comedian on a mission to remind women how talented they are. She is the creator of girltellme.com. I love that name. It's a publishing platform dedicated to the empowerment of women writers through comedy. Nikki has articles published with the Daily Beast, Forbes, and Boardroom. She has also attended Upright Citizens Brigade, UCB, and DC Improv for sketch comedy and short form improv. When she's not promoting her book, Does This Divorce Make Me Look Fat? She's avoiding dairy. To support her journey, folks, check out girltellme.com. And to pay her bills, buy the book. Nikki, welcome to the show, sis.
Hi, Doc V. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, girl. We look forward to hearing your story and how you face your fears to love the skin you're in and pivot into pursuing your passion and soul purpose. So as I mentioned in our four conversation, our podcast, we love to keep it simple. So we ask you two questions. How have you defined your path? And how do you help others define theirs? So let's just jump in, Nikki. Let's start with how you define your path. What is your story? And the spotlight is yours, sis.
Hi. Okay, well, first of all, thank you for having me. How do I define my path? So my story has been kind of a bunch of layers, like an onion that have been peeled back. I've always been the funny one. I've always been the one that's like, your mom's like, go do that thing in front of all those people and do something funny. And then you're like singing a song and you're like, all right, whatever. I was not that kid that was like, I don't want to do it. I was like, say less. Round two, do we need more? So I just enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed kind of just making people laugh. So just a little bit about my story. I kind of sold my soul to the devil very early. People are like, oh, I should change this podcast. No, don't change it yet. So I graduated college and I kind of, did what everybody else did. And I got a 9-to-5 and I was like, all right, I'm successful. And after a while I was like, shit, this sucks. Like, I'm not good. I don't feel good. I got married as well, just because I was like, this is what we're supposed to do to be successful. Mm-hmm. And it was just another thing where I was like, this isn't what I thought I would be. And it was weird because I was only at the time 26, 27. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of already living like a 50-year-old, which like not bad. Shout out to 50-year-olds. But I'm just saying more of like, I was already on the road to retirement when I should have been just like forgetting things and enjoying my time and figuring it out and kind of taking the 20s to be like, all right, well, let's try this, but let's like not try this and let's try this. So I got a divorce, long story short. And I took that as an opportunity to no longer make the excuses of like, well, I need to stay here. I need to be safe. I need to do all these things. Yeah. And I saved up money and I moved to New York City and pursued comedy writing.
Nice.
So after I went up there, it was one of the scariest things for me. So, they say when you have a fear, you kind of have to face it.
Right.
I did it more calculated though, because I didn't want to be one of those people that's broke as hell. I mean, by this point I'm 28 and like, I do not do well with sleeping in cars. Okay. I'm not doing that shit. So, I saved up enough money. I got another job. I saved up like 25 G's And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make finances something for me as to the reason why I didn't succeed in the most expensive city in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved up there because it was one of those things that I talked about for so long. And I saw something that was saying, like, don't share your dreams with people just because the quick endorphins you get from telling people about it makes you settle. It makes you not as much hungry to like move to the next stop. You're more like, okay, well, that sufficed me talking about it enough.
Yeah.
Now I can move on. So I talked about it for years. I was like, I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to move to New York. And now, without having, you know, another person that I had to be responsible for in my relationship, I made the executive decision to move up there. So what I will tell you that was effective for me was I am a Capricorn, Cappy season. I don't know anything about it. I just feel like people say that. So Cappy season. But I made a plan. I wanted to make sure that I had no excuses or nothing in front of me that would cause tension, cause anxiety, or kind of be in a space where like I have to come back immediately. So it was something scary for me. I planned it. And I was also reasonable about my plan. In January, I was like, okay, in October 1st, I will be living in Brooklyn, New York. So I got another job. I started to kind of plan out like reasonably how much money do I need and how all these, you know, certain things happen. I moved back in with my mom, which shout out to mom. I love her, but I moved back in with mom, you know what I mean?
Girls and their mothers. Yeah.
That was something hard too. You know what I mean? I always make a joke about at 28, I was sleeping in the same bed that I lost my virginity in. And I'm like, what are we doing? We're going, you know? But I spent a lot of time just really saving and just kind of giving myself the best opportunity I could. So I moved to New York. Scary as hell, especially being a woman by yourself, living in New York City, not knowing the train system. My family's from New York, but you know, they're here now. They're like suburbanites or whatever whatever it's called. So even they were like, you're moving to New York. And, you know, I had a lot of people that were like, you don't have to go. You should stay here. That's reckless. Don't do it. But I just knew that that was something I had to do for myself. I owed it to myself to try. And I live this life in a space where like, I never want to look back and be like, I should have done that. I just can't. So I moved up there on October 1st and I lived up there for about 3.5 years. And then COVID hit and I moved back. And I don't know how you are about horoscopes, Doc V, but I like it. I like a little magic. You know what I mean? So I started the idea of Girl Tell Me. I talked about it for a long time. And I started from the bottom. A lot of people always are like, well, how did you get to this space of like doing all these things? And I'm like, I literally just learned. I mean, we are in the 21st century. You can redo your cabinets with YouTube. You can build a house with YouTube and a mud hut.
Right.
You trying to tell me you don't know how to buy a domain? Get the hell out of here, you know? So I started a publishing platform, which originally was a blog. It was called Girl Tell Me About It. And I had so many people that were like, hey, I really like that. Like, I wish I could do something like that. And I was like, okay, well,
why can't you, huh?
You could just come on my platform. It's okay. Send me your stuff and I'll give it to you, you know? And the reason why I was saying horoscopes was because I read on my horoscope right before I moved back to Virginia that like, you have to go back to move forward. And I moved back in with my mother, not really knowing what I was going to do. And I just started grinding Girl Tell Me. It was a little idea I had. And since then we've published like over 200 pieces. We've worked with like 150 to 175 writers from like all over the world, which to me is like so crazy. And just a lot of women out there that really want to share their stories and kind of share a piece of their writing. So I wanted to do that as like my passion project. It was something for me that I was like, I want to be able to like help it forward. I want people to be able to publish, to start, to build the confidence, to have something that I can put on a resume that they'll be able to go to any place and say, I'm a published writer. So that's what I do. I always tell people, if anybody's ever interested, let me know. My DMs are open for single men, single good looking men, and also writers, but mainly for writers. So I moved back and then that's when things started happening. I had one moment where I always love to tell this story because it just kind of changed my thinking. Nobody for me is unreachable unless it's Beyonce, because I know my limits. Okay. But even Beyonce is not unreachable. Like at a certain point, we're gonna talk, you know?
Girl, yeah.
So one day I was on Twitter promoting Girl Tell Me, like really in its prime, like getting other people to go. And I remember I was just through comedy alone, I was talking to like the CEO of T-Mobile.
Mm.
And I'm not really good at selling myself in regards to like, you should do this. I'm always the person at like the job that will go to all the birthday parties. I know your wife personally, but when it comes to a promotion, I'm never considered.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's also a little bit of my fault because I don't connect with people that way. I'm really great at talking to people, but I'm not necessarily always thinking about like, well, how can I use this person?
Right.
So this was like one of the first times I was a little bit more strategic. And I remember we had a couple comments back and forth. And then at one point he said, well, you should follow me. And I said, well, I'll follow you when you donate to my company.
Mm.
Shoot your shot. And he donated. It wasn't a lot. It was $50 though. Out of nowhere. He never had to do that. I mean, I've gotten gift cards from family members cheaper than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
$50 and donated to my company. And then after that, I was like, I'm different.
Yeah.
It's just a mindset. So since then, I've been shooting my shot. I've been figuring it out. Yeah. And, you know, it's been a wild ride, but it has been amazing.
Look, sis, I'm like, it's so much goodness that you just shared.
I'm sorry. You got to stop me. You have to stop me because if
not at all, girl, because you were on a roll and it was all good. You know, I love that. Shoot your shot, you know, and it's that whole facing your fear. You know, I say face and embrace your fear and you'll make it your ally, right? And that's what I heard, you know, just the whole journey. And then when you talked about how you have to go back sometime to go forward, I love that. I love that.
I always tell people shoot your shot because I think, you know, aside from like having the regret, you have to like, I'm an overthinker. So for me, I'm like, what's the worst that happens?
Mm-hmm.
You will always figure it out. There will always be a response to whatever you do, no matter what it is, right? So you send an email to a potential editor, they could say yes or no, but why are you worried about, you know, like the semantics of things? Send the email. Send the thought, shoot your shot. Listen, I'm on this podcast because I shot my shot.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that should be our new motto at Girl Tell Me. And even for this book and everything like that, just shoot your shot consistently because I've had so many people say to me all the time, like, how did you get this? And how did you get that? And I'm like, the emails that you're not sending, I am.
Yeah.
The time you're not connecting with people, I am. And it's nothing crazy. It doesn't have to be listen, Sam will tell you. He said, hey, this is what we can't do. And I'm like, cool, great. Okay, I'll holler at you maybe next year. And that was it. You know what I mean? Like respecting that people can say no, respecting the no's. You know what I mean? And that's then so also good. To the mindset of like you know, I saw this thing that was basically saying, if someone told you that after 45 no's, you would get a yes, you'd be chasing no's.
Right. For real.
So right now I'm chasing no's.
I love it.
I know at a certain point, I'm going to get that yes. And just wait, because I'm going to be different. I'm going to be too good for people. Don't call me. No, it might be the opposite. I might be like, hey, can Doc V and her husband come? And also this one, can they come too? And what about this one? So I don't know. I think you get a lot of leverage and opportunity from just the connection of building with people.
You do.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, Nick, that's so good. You know, because we've been conditioned to not ask or to, you know, just basically function as cogs in a wheel. And, you know, this is the process you have to follow to achieve this. And this is how you get to the American dream, which I'm sure that's a whole nother conversation we could have. Right. So, you know, you've just embraced that, you know, and you're just doing your thing, you know. What would you say to those folks who are like, well, how do you even get started? I mean, because I say, you know, you just got to start, you know, you have to find that courage and just put that first foot forward.
I would say for people who are trying to get started, get comfortable with failure.
Yes.
Because it's all over.
Yeah.
I really sit back and think about like, I used to hate writing and now it's my life. Comedy used to be my main, where'd it go? Okay. Comedy used to be my main focus and it still is, but I did stand up. I did sketch comedy. I did acting. And every time I would do something, I'd be like, I like this. I don't like this. Okay. And then that's what led me to writing, where even in the beginning of it, like the reason why I wrote my book, the reason why I have a writing empowerment website is because writing is so bougie and I don't like it. It's bougie as hell, right? And I like to acknowledge that, like, we all have stories, and whatever way you decide to write it is okay. Fuck the commas,
Right.
okay? You don't have to worry about
yeah.
like, just tell your story. If it's in a written form, okay. If it's speaking it, okay. If it's in poetry, whatever and however you want to display your story is okay. But a big reason why I'm in the author space, I call myself the Judy Blume for bitches. I'm more of like a Judy B. Jones, but the Judy Blume for bitches, because for me, I want people, especially women, I want people to be more comfortable with sharing their stories and understanding that, like, the same people that you're intimidated by, I am too. But instead of me saying like, well, they're better than I think they're better than me in some capacity with writing, instead of saying that and then not doing anything about it, I'm like, oh no, like, we have to change the narrative.
Right. Yeah.
I want more books written by women like me, written by the loud friend of the group, written by the girl who doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, who doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
Yeah.
And that's where I wrote it.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's real, and that we need more of that, because, it's too much pretense in the world, and we're constantly wearing these masks until we do have those real world experiences, and we realize, that, okay, it's time to take this mask off and do be who you are.
I mean, a lot of my purpose for the book, so I wrote a self-help, was because when I was going through my divorce, I did not see myself in any of the stories I was reading. It was a bunch of women hiking, and I like a good hike, but damn, like, I didn't become like a yoga master after that shit. I didn't have a trip to Bali to figure it out. Like, no, I had to take my ass back to work after 2 days. You know what I mean? So like, that's who, those are my people. The people who cry in offices when they're dealing with shit. The people who don't necessarily have, all the tools and the assets at their fingertips. The people who have to kind of figure it out. The people who gotta, be honest and be like, hey, I'm broke as shit, but just let me kind of come on your podcast and figure it out.
Right. Girl, I love it. So when you're working with these women in your book series, how have you found it transform their lives, or how is it empowering them?
So with Girl Tell Me, just publishing and not even a big emphasis on not charging. I always tell people, like, we have a virtual bookstore. Give me your shit. I always tell people, give me all that you have. Because I think a lot of times, a lot of these empowerment sites are like, we're here to empower women. And they're like, but it's going to be, a couple $100 for us to promote you, or it's going to be this and that. And a lot of people, especially starting out as writers, don't have that money. Hell, I wrote a book and I don't have that money. You know what I mean? Like, so I wanted to be able to create that opportunity for people to promote their book, you know what I mean? Connect women and just kind of create like room and space for people to kind of do whatever they want creatively. So I've noticed that a lot of women have came back and said, I got one not that long ago that was like, thanks for believing in me. I wrote my book. I have people come to me all the time, like, I really appreciate, you kind of sharing the book, or not the book, the website, and just like the promotion, and like, me allowing me to share my story. So, I get it all the time in regards to just people being like, wow, like, you're just going to promote it. And I'm like, yeah, like, this is my passion project. This is what I want to do. And crazily enough, it's also, you get so much back when you give. And it's been extremely fulfilling. And it's been one of those things that I've also benefited from it. Just kind of talking to these women and connecting with these women. And it's just been a very rewarding experience.
Wow, girl, and you just have a huge heart, a magnificent heart. I could just tell in the short time that we've been having a conversation, and just what you're all about, and that's beautiful. So when these women, when they come back and they accomplish this goal, do you find also that they're even more bold in pursuing their dreams or passions? Do they go start businesses, or what do you find?
I don't think so. Honestly, I think that they feel empowered to have the confidence to have the piece promoted, because a lot of times you'll meet a lot of people, especially someone who's already wrote a book, where they'll say like, oh, I have a book, but like, I haven't finished it. Or like, oh, I have a couple. And I'm like, well, let me just kind of put out a couple pieces. Let me put out a couple pages. So forgive me. I have seen spaces where people have came back and said, like you published a couple pieces and, it kind of gave me the confidence to finish it. But I think also too, people just want a space where they can feel comfortable.
Right.
And I don't know if it necessarily leads to like business owners, but it also has connected me to women who already are in business, who are kind of similarly doing the same thing or in the same space of like, let's help people feel better about themselves and build that confidence.
That's beautiful because you're building those relationships, with somewhat of with a business model, but just giving people space to just be and to overcome those fears. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I think also too, because, I've learned and I'm still learning this is like, not everybody is like us in regards to like, I'm hungry. I am hungry. My book came out and I'm like, bet next book's coming out next year. And luckily I have some people in my tribe that are like, you do understand that like the bare minimum that you think you're doing, some people don't accomplish in a lifetime. And I'm like, I hear you. I really do. But like, I just want more. I'm hungry. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's good when you're just motivated to constantly be working, but sometimes it's bad because you have this like satiable like taste that never is necessarily fulfilled. So like where I'm at now is I sit very comfortably in like working. I sit very comfortably in personal projects because I don't feel like it's working. I enjoy it. It's something I could do all day long. But I will tell you that it's hard for me sometimes to just stop and like go with the flow, right? It's like anything. It comes with its good and its bad.
So how do you tend to your health and wellness? Because that's a huge thing, that we're about at Define Your Path with working with our communities, just finding that holistic health and wellness. What helps you unwind and just, take a breath? Because, I'm like you, I'm a recovering workaholic, right?
Yeah.
And, that's a constant struggle. But it doesn't necessarily lend itself to, just that rest and relaxation that I need. So like, what do you do to find that or to take it?
So I am such an overthinker and like, and my mind is always going that I work out and I'm doing it more because I like it's draining to me. Like my brain sometimes I'm like, chill out because I'm just going all the time. Like even it's so funny. I was talking to my best friend the other day and I was telling her I dream every night. And she's like, I don't remember the last dream that I ever had. And I'm like, I have active, vivid dreams every night. So that should just show you like my brain's even going in REM. Like, it's just like, come on, we got things we got to do. So I have pushed myself to work out more. I try to make it a routine thing to a point where I think I'm going to start going even more just because I can feel that it lets me breathe. Not even from a physical perspective of like, but it just kind of gives my body like the sigh it needs after a long day when my brain is just going. Meditation, I like, but I never am consistent with it. But I would love to actively do it. I talk about it. It's one of those things that I told you about when you talk about it and you feel good about it, when you're like, I think I might meditate, but then you never actually do it. That's not. And the last thing is I am actively going to bed earlier. Now, I might be laying in the bed, not doing shit, looking on TikTok, but I'm in the bed and I might go to bed 10 minutes earlier, 20 minutes earlier, but I'm like forcing myself to like, no, girl, you cannot stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning on social media doing bullshit. It's bleeding your brain. So yeah, those are my things. Sleep, game changer. Working out, game changer. Meditation, we assume it's a game changer. We just not there yet.
I can relate to all of those.
Yeah.
And throw in binge watching TV or Netflix, something.
The Housewives, anything? Yes, I was just watching it before I got on here. So yeah.
So now tell me, girl, tell me, and what are some other projects that you're looking toward or you're thinking about?
So I'm working on book number 2.
Okay.
This is book 1. If you guys want to support my business, Does This Divorce Make Me Look Fat? My face is on the cover. I only say that because someone recently took my title. But listen, that's beside the fact. We're not gonna, whatever. But she's on there too. It's not me. You'll see this right here. This is me. The copier, that ain't her. This me. Thank you. So I'm working on book number 2. It's about dating. It's going to be in the same kind of way, comedy, self-help. And then I want to do an audiobook of Does This Divorce Make Me Look Fat? That's on the list. Okay. And then I'm kind of planning a show. I want to do kind of a show for the book, like a reading.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Great things in your future, girl. We're gonna stay connected, and we're gonna do some stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, Nikki, I want to thank you so much for being on our spotlight today, girl. We could just keep going and going. I guess I do need to adhere to time. Audience, I want you to be sure to follow Nikki. Follow her on social media. Please tell them what's the best way. How do they connect with you?
So you can reach out to me on Instagram. It's literally spelled out girltellme_ spell out .com, DOTCOM. If I said that too fast and you don't know, just go to girltellme.com and you'll see it there. You can connect with me as well. Oh, and then please buy the book.
Please buy the book.
It's called Does This Divorce Make Me Look Fat? It's not just about divorce. Divorce is kind of like my story as to what, like, the catalyst event in my life that kind of changed it. But divorce, maybe out of this whole book, is discussed in its entirety of my story, maybe like 1 chapter, and that's it. And then at the end, I rate it with a Yelp review. But please support me. And I always tell people, if you hate it, don't rate it. Don't be a hater, okay? You can send me a DM. Don't do that, okay? Thank you. Trying to affect my coins. But 5 stars, nothing less, okay? Thank you. And I always tell people, if you do less than that, your mom's a hoe. But that's beside the point. We're not trying to fight today. Thank you.
Folks, you might also read Nikki Frias, her full bio, and connect with her on our Define Your Path podcast platform. Girl, you have me cracking up over here. I'm tongue twisted. Be sure to visit our virtual home to see what we're up to at definingpaths.online, and it's an awful lot. Check out our Empower, our retreats that we have going on, and just how we can support you and help you build your business. I'd like to thank our Business Innovators Radio Network and our producer, Mike Saunders, for their amazing support and assurance that we may continue to bring you quality, life-giving, inspiring, and enjoyable conversations like this one today with Nikki. I'm Doc V, the Pivot Maestro, and always your corner woman. Be true to you, folks, and define your own path so that you may be your own boss in mind, body, soul, and business. We will see you next episode. Nikki, thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you. I had a great time. And tell your engineer thank you ahead of time, because he's probably like, oh my gosh, she talks so much. But thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much.